Welcome back to the Compound Podcast. This is episode 178 of the Compound Podcast, presented by Parse Rum, the best rum in the world. When I say Parse, you say rum. Parse.
Rum.
Yes. Is it 178? It is 178. I got it right.
Nice.
Had to check. Perfect time of the year for a little bit of Parse. It's still a little warm in Chicago. We got 80 plus today. But
Yeah.
we're right around the corner from those nice fall days where you might want to grab yourself a glass of rum at night.
Did you see next week?
No.
Well, I don't know what it is in Chicago, but in Grand Rapids, it's supposed to be 55 to 60 every day next week. Fall's coming quick
for you.
Coming quick.
Get your layers going.
Oh, yeah.
It is officially the end of the regular season. Regular season ended Sunday. Playoffs started today. It's Tuesday. Cubbies.
I don't know why I'm laughing. Just like your tone
funny.
and your demeanor. I can tell you're so upset, and I just can't. I don't know what else to do but to laugh. It's what I do. It's what. No, I'm not laughing at. I'm laughing with you. I'm
not laughing.
You got to smirk now because I'm laughing.
I was at dinner tonight and was getting a drink at the bar before dinner, and playoff baseball was on, and it wasn't great for me.
That's got to be the hardest part, is like to see it and be like, shit, we were close.
It's the hardest part. I think we've had some seasons where we didn't make it. You know, I was up that second half of 19 when the team was in it, and it kind of fell apart with a couple weeks to go. We were chasing it and fell apart. 21 was kind of halfway through the season. It was over. 22, it was over pretty early. Being as close as we were and having as many close games down the stretch as we did made it really hard. And I think that was like the part that made it the hardest was just like you play so many one run extra inning, like late, like in every game and not being able to pull them out. Like that part stinks.
Takes a lot on your body too, like mentally, physically, just that late in the year in general. And then anytime, like a close game always wears so much more. And then with the magnitude of, the playoffs hanging on by a thread, basically every game, you're checking the scores, you're doing this, you're doing that. Like that's a lot, man. It's a lot. And it all just comes like that.
I am curious, not like how much, I don't know what it is. I'm trying to think of Atlanta right now. Like, do they have the scores of other games like on the board? Like, I don't know if you guys are looking during the game, like when you're playing, like, oh, Miami's losing to the Mets or something like, do you guys notice that at all while you're playing, or do you just kind of block that out?
I mean, that last week, there was definitely some in-game board watching.
Yeah, for sure.
Seeing what was going on, rooting for teams. And then like, I think there was a couple there late where Miami was like down early. There was one, maybe Friday night where Miami was down like 3-0.
Might have been 5 against the White Sox. I think it was like 5.
I think it was the first game against the Pirates. They were down like 3-0.
Oh, the Pirates. That's who it was. Yeah.
I was like, ooh, down 3-0. Like, and like we were playing a tight game, so I was like locked in. We're playing like this tight game. We tied up in the 9th. We're playing.
How'd you tie it up?
And then I look up at the board, and
that was a nuke, by the way.
That was crushed.
People don't remember those homers though when you lose. You got to win for them to be remembered. So I look up at the board. Like we're in this 3-3 game. I look up at the board and the Marlins won 4-3. I'm like, fuck me. How did that? Like it was like I was like, oh my god, we're gonna win this game, and the Marlins. Like I was like, oh, they lost. There's no way. And then they win 4-3. Our game gets away from us and we lose. And it's like shit.
I really needed. I feel like you seemed like a little more pumped after that homer. Like you're a very calm guy on the field. Like you don't show a ton of like emotion, but I feel like you were pretty happy after that one. Like you seemed a little pumped rounded first.
Yeah, that was a big one. That was a big one to tie the game in that situation. Obviously, we knew the Brewers they had a set schedule of how they were going to pitch their guys, so we knew they were doing with their back end guys. They were doing throw and then sit for 2 and then throw. So we knew they were going to throw. They were all going to throw Saturday. And so we we were in a close game all game, but they weren't going to throw those guys. So we had a couple guys come in after the starter came out and felt like we could, make a little push there. So to come up and hit that homer and like, oh, we got a real chance here. It was a big spot.
Last thing about that homer, how were you sitting on that? It was like a backed up top of the zone curveball that you took to right center. Like, were you sitting curveball or were you just kind of like, oh, I see that right out of the hand?
No, I actually wasn't sitting on. I knew he had thrown one inning before that, or two batters in that last inning, and so I knew he was throwing like 90, 92, but it felt like it was a little bit. He was kind of bigger, taller dude, and it felt like it was a little bit of a jumpy heater at the top, and then he had this big 12-6 breaking ball. So and he had led somebody to start an at bat with a dumper curveball middle. And I kind of felt like even though it was 92, it was going to play up. So I had to kind of be on the up heater. So I was kind of looking for the up heater, making sure I didn't chase above the zone, but was going to be on time for that. And it kind of popped out of his hand. It's like, oh.
Yeah, ooh, here we go.
Yeah, it was a good swing. And then he did a great job shutting us down.
Last thing. Hang on, pulling up the final numbers. We do have the final tally on the home run counter, 21-12. Ian takes it home.
No, it doesn't count because I waved the white flag.
That was actually a funny tweet. I think
it was a really funny tweet.
I think it was after 20. I forget. It might have been 21, but you waved the white flag, and I was like, "That's good."
Ian, congrats on making a comeback. It's pretty impressive, man.
Hey, thanks, man. There's little things throughout the season that you get pretty pumped up about. Like little. I had 17 last year. Getting back to 20 was a big deal. That was cool.
And 99 walks, you said?
99 walks, yeah.
Damn. Good for you.
I did get a tweet back though to that one, and I said, to Zach's play he made maybe Saturday, the one over your shoulder. And I got a tweet back that said I needed to start a web gem counter, and I was like, well, Zach might have him on that one. It's what he does. That's why they pay him the big bucks.
Yeah,
those hands don't sleep.
I think,
but only one of them's got a gold. Only one of them's got gold though.
That is true. Can't argue.
People forget.
People lie, women lie, men lie. Numbers don't, gold doesn't.
The games today, Texas won
4-0.
Tampa?
Over Tampa.
Yeah. The Twins
broke their streak.
That was I watched a little bit of that game, the Pablo started and he was in the 6th and he had like 85 pitches and a couple guys got on and the bullpen was like so hot. That's in the playoffs. It's like 3-game set. But I was like, this guy's rolling. He's going to finish this inning. And I didn't see what happened, but he ended up coming out of the game. I think the inning ended 3-1.
What was their streak? Like 19 straight games or something?
18 straight games.
18 straight games lost. Not even just – that's crazy.
I think so. Yeah.
Something like that.
I don't know how close – Dakota, how close did you watch that game?
The Twins game?
Yeah.
I didn't see any of it, honestly.
Dude, it looked like – it was funny. So A-Rod was doing the game, and in the first few innings, they didn't chase many splitters. And he was like, oh, yeah, it looks like that they might have something on it. But the ones they showed were like bouncing like in front of the plate. And it's like, if you're going to talk about a team having tips, it's more of like, hey, how the fuck did you take that? That was a strike the whole way until it wasn't. But then the next 2 innings, I was like, you know what? I'm going to kind of really pay attention what we got here on the splitters. They were taking splitters like that far down, that far in. And I'm like, man, they actually might have something. Because you kind of, I don't want to say he's a 2-pitch guy, but for the most part, I mean, like the heater, then the splitter. I don't know if he's got the slider or the curveball. But if you can eliminate his splitter, I'll never forget, that was our plan going through, was like, hey, he does not throw the splitter for strikes. Gaussman, this is. And he threw me 1-2-2 dotted. I swung at it because it started so much as a strike. And then, I mean, it looks exactly like his heater. And if you can just take that away and almost make him like a 2-pitch guy instead of a 3-pitch guy, like you can really do some damage. And they still only scored 3 runs and off of 2 homers.
Does he live up in the zone with his fastball, or does he kind of move it around?
And he kind of moves it around, but I mean, he strikes everybody out.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking, I mean, this is
Right.
a
If it's
pitcher
down-
talking, not a hitter, but I'm saying like maybe they saw it like, oh, if it starts like just above the knees or like around there, like leave it. Like it's going lower.
Yeah. That's
Obviously easier said than done. But
no, that's true though, because that's what I try to do sometimes. It's like, hey, if it looks like it's your pitch to hit, it's probably not. Just take it. Ken.
Yeah.
Like mine is such a like nitro down and in zone. It's like, hey man, these guys are pretty good up there. They're probably not going to miss down there with a heater. So if it starts down there, it's probably a changeup or it's probably a slider to your back foot from the lefty.
It's
and
hilarious.
if he paints the heater right at your knees, you just kind of tip your cap.
Yeah, you tip your cap. It's hilarious, like explaining hitting at that level to be like, yeah, what I was trying to do today was if it looked like a good pitch to hit, I was gonna not swing.
Yeah.
Because it's so good and I can't see it. So if it looked like it was gonna be middle, I had to tell myself, don't swing.
Right. It's crazy.
Hardest thing to do in sports.
Who
Brewers D-backs, they're still going.
D-backs are up 4-3, about to go top 8, and the Phillies are up 3-0 in the top of the 7th on the Marlins.
Phillies are doing it.
Phillies are good, man. I said to Zach before you got here, Ian, I said, I think the Diamondbacks might be my team. I have no reason why. I don't know. I just feel like they're a cool story. Like they're a cool team. Like I'm just trying to think of like a cool team to root for.
They play at the Mekkes.
Oh, he's going to beat it. You got
That's an interesting series because the way that it lined up, the D-backs had to throw their guys this weekend to get in, and the Brewers got to rest everybody. But Woodruff's down, so Woodruff's hurt, so he's down. So
Burns kind of struggled a little bit today too.
They had Burns, so they had the better matchup today with Burns. Then they probably have Peralta going, and then Wade Miley. But the D-backs have Merrill Kelly and Zach Allen going the next 2 days. So if the D-backs can win this first game,
well, they started I don't know how you say his last name, Fat.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like a bullpen day. He went 2 2/3, and they've thrown like 5 other guys since.
Yeah, it's going to be really
Playoffs.
interesting to see the way that series goes. But the Brewers are liable to make a late inning comeback. It's what they do.
These are the tough ones. This is, I mean, not talking to live audience here, but Wheeler's in the game right now. It's first and third, 2 outs, top 7. They're up 3. He's at 95 pitches. The playoffs are one where it's like, if you're in the regular season, you're like, this is Zach Wheeler's game. You know what I mean? Like these are his runners, like you leave him in. But here it's like, do you go get a fresh arm or do you let him face a guy for a third time? I feel like De La Cruz.
They'll let him ride, right?
He's staying in, but I was just thinking, like, do you let him face him a third time, or do you
I think
go
the
to
reason why the Phillies make those deep runs and have a team that kind of weathered the storm throughout the year is because they're starting pitching, man. They're good.
Nola, Wheeler,
Nola,
Ranger Suarez, pretty good.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting playoff race. Did you see the Braves learned from the year last year, and now they're doing live scrimmages with fans?
Fans. That's sick.
Yeah, I think they're letting fans into the stadium to watch the live scrimmages.
That's sick as fuck.
They're just going to keep playing ball.
They're the only team that's got enough players for 2 good lineups. That lineup, I mean, watching the games this week, insane.
Disgusting. Just
Pretty deep.
disgusting.
Pretty deep. They had video game numbers across the board. It's pretty crazy. Look up, like I was feeling pretty sexy about hitting 20 homers. Everybody in their team has 20 pumps.
What did Olsen end up with? Like 53?
54.
54.
I watched Ozuna hit like number 37.
Acuna hit 40
We
plus.
got Acuna stealing 70 bags, got 40 pumps. Ozzy Albies has 110 RBI. It's just like, holy shit.
It's unbelievable. That
Team rakes. Michael Harris is hitting the 7 hole. Sean Murphy's hitting like 8th.
Maybe it's just because they're on the West Coast, but I feel like the team that still just isn't getting talked about is the Dodgers. I feel like they never get talked about, and they're just sitting there with Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts and everyone else they got. It's a pretty good team, man. Like the Braves are getting all the talk, rightfully so, but
I haven't seen much of them. You obviously see Freddie's highlights and Mookie's highlights and stuff. but like just trying to follow J-Hay, like checking the box score every day. I haven't actually seen much of them playing, so like actually getting to see a few games that they play and will be nice.
That's the thing with the West Coast. Like for all of us over here, I'm not up that late. Like I'm not staying up for a 10 o'clock start most of the time. De La Cruz got a hit, by the way, infield single.
3-2?
3-1, first and second, 2 outs.
Still in.
Friend of the podcast, Schwarber. Got to root for the Phillies.
We're in the pot.
If you had to pick a team, Ian, who would your team be to win it? You don't have to say who you're rooting for. Who do you think is going to win it? Wait, should we do our World Series?
I thought we would do that
predictions?
once all the divisional rounds are set. But
Okay, we'll wait. We'll wait till the division.
That'll be
rounds.
nice.
Let's get out of the
give
wild
us some
card.
time to have less teams, so we have a better chance of being right.
It's a good call.
It's a good
There's
idea.
still 8
Tom.
teams. There'll still be 8 teams. It could. We'll probably won't get it right.
I think the Phillies will be tough to beat. I think it just depends how healthy the Braves starting rotation is.
Freed's back, right?
I think Fried will be back. I don't think Morton's going to be back.
They said when I was watching your guys' game, they said Morton will be out the whole divisional series. They're not even sure yet if they make to the championship series if he'll be there.
Who's the best team in the AL?
Orioles. Or did they get the one? Yeah, they're the one, right?
Orioles.
They did like 103 wins or something.
Yeah. I feel like the AL is very wide open though.
Ian, did you see? I don't know if you saw. I know Brandon Hyde, a guy very emotional when they clinched the playoffs and stuff, and that was cool as a neutral fan to see that he's obviously very few managers get to see that whole rebuilding process and are still there at the end of it. And I know you've talked about what a great guy he is. I dealt with him a little bit in New York. He seemed like a really, really good dude, and it was cool to see that because that's obviously a franchise that's really had some down moments. So to see them win 103 games with all the young guys and still everyone else coming through, they're going to be maybe Atlanta 2.0. They're going to be scary the next couple of years.
Did you see, Tom? Sorry, before Ian answers, did you see that Hyde said that it was once they signed Aaron Hicks, their season really turned around?
I don't know if you. I don't know if you're joking or not, but I'm.
It's a direct quote. I believe he said it. Could be false. You can't believe everything you see on the internet.
That was in the Baltimore Chronicle.
Yeah.
Hyder is an unbelievable human being. I feel really lucky to have been with him for a couple of years in Chicago. A lot of times when managers go through the rebuild process, they get replaced just before they can actually reap the rewards. Like it's a pretty unfortunate circumstance in the baseball world. The fact that they probably did it a year before they thought they would, and he was the guy at the head of the ship for that, is really, really cool. I think guys love playing for him. He's the type of dude that can inspire and like really is behind his players all the time. And I sent him a congratulations text right after they clinched and in that division with what they were expected to do versus what the other teams in the division were expected to do. Like for him and that team to have that much success was pretty awesome. He's a beauty, and I hope they make a really nice run because he's one of the best.
Can we talk for a second? I don't know if this is like a touchy thing or not, but did you see the attendance for the Tampa Bay Rays game for their playoff?
It did. Can you
like
read
19,
the numbers?
I think it was 19,000. 19,000, I think. It was. I saw something that said it's the smallest stadium in the MLB, and they were like 75% capacity or something like that.
You know what the people could use there?
Well, AG1 or SeatGeek.
SeatGeek. Not AG1, but SeatGeek. Baseball playoffs are here. To celebrate, SeatGeek is giving you a special offer to our viewers. Use code JohnBoyPlayoffs for 10% off your order.
Playoffs.
Whether you're a first-time buyer or not. Take out your phone, open the SeatGeek app, and add John Boy Postseason. That's one big word in capital letters. John Boy Postseason to your account. If you don't know what SeatGeek is, their ticketing app that makes buying tickets super simple. Very special hookup here. John Boy Postseason for 10% off tickets at SeatGeek. That's a little shocking.
Like you'd think for the playoffs, like you'd get a full crowd.
I will say in their defense, it was 3 p.m. on a Tuesday. That's the only their defense for the.
But I think I think every other stadium in the league is probably sold out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that's the alarming thing about their new stadium deal is the thing that all the fans have complained about is that stadium's in St. Petersburg and not actually in the Tampa area. And now they're going to build another stadium in St. Petersburg where all the traffic, it takes an hour and plus in traffic and all that stuff. And it doesn't seem like they're solving the actual issue, which is they need to move the stadium closer to the city of Tampa.
Tom, are you saying that it's Major League Baseball's fault for scheduling the game at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday?
Listen, I don't think that helping a team that's already known for having attendance issues, that's kind of putting them behind the 8 ball. I don't think that's going to help them.
I agree. I mean, someone has to play at 3, but I agree. Like, you put the Phillies at 3, that place is still standing room only.
I think it was a mistake to put them first as well, because that's like you want to have like a great atmosphere in your first game, and the Trop, respectfully, is never going to be that atmosphere. Even if it was full, the Trop's not going to be that atmosphere.
Yeah, I agree.
When the Yankees would play there in the postseason the last few years, sold out, right?
A lot of Yankee fans there.
Yeah, it's tough. Ranger spring training is in Arizona. Texas and Florida. People either live in Texas or Florida. They don't really go back and forth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. A little bit of a tough setup.
Should we move to Zack Short replacing Miguel Cabrera in his last game ever?
Can you tell us just about the weekend and then talk about that next question?
It was weird. Like, the end of the year is always like, it's weird. Like, you see the finish line. I don't want to say see the finish line, but it's there. It just like kind of approaches obviously all year, but this year was just different. It was like, we want to get to the end of the year, but we don't want to get to the end of the year because we don't want to see Miggy go, and it was like, we were all excited, like, oh, like, this is a good year, like, whatever. But it was like, at the end of every conversation was like, yo, this weekend's going to be wild. Like, this is going to be really, really special. And Miggy, I mean, unless I win a World Series, I think I can confidently say I will never see something as cool as that and experience anything like that in my life compared to what I just witnessed this whole weekend. I mean, 45,000 people there for Sunday's game. He gets put in the last inning, plays first base, ball goes right to him, and there was not a dry eye in that stadium. And you could just see, like, his soul kind of just left his body. It was just like, I did it. I played 21 years in the big leagues. I'm top 2 right-handed hitter to ever play the game. And he was just like, I'm done. I did it. I came from nothing, and now I leave on top of the world. And to see it firsthand, to see how he handled it all, he was such a trooper. Like, I mean, he signed so many fucking jerseys, so many baseballs. We were all kind of just sitting there like, think you can sign this for me? Like, you go first, and the club, he would bring over like basically a closet of jerseys from the other team. And not one time did he say, not right now. Like, hey, it was just like, yeah, leave it right here. Like, I got you. And I got asked by one of the reporters, like, what do you hope happens this weekend? And the one thing I said was just like, I hope Miggy takes a step back and really realizes what he did his whole career and really takes in what is going on for this weekend for him, and not just because, like I said before, he doesn't love the spotlight. He hates when everything's on him. But I was like, I even told him, hey man, try to enjoy this. Like, this is special. You deserve every ounce of this. And like I said, to be there on the top step, to eventually go in for him, was something I will never, ever, ever forget in my life.
Did you get a bunch of stuff signed?
I got a jersey. And then the balls that we played with this weekend said Gracias Miggy on them, like the thing that was going around. And again, like I didn't want to go crazy with him, but I got a jersey a few months ago signed actually, but it was just, people lining up outside of the stadium so early to see him. And the Tigers, did such an unbelievable job. I don't know if you guys saw any of the highlights with like this. People had like signs that they color coded. So where it said like 3,000 hits, 500 homers, like, thank you, Miggy.
That was sick.
Yeah, dude, like everything. The way that, AJ didn't tell anybody his plan to get Miggy in the game at first. He had his family down there. So when they took him out of the game, they were there. They went on the field. The crowd the whole weekend, like everybody knew what was going on, but they nailed it. The Tigers nailed it. AJ nailed it. Miggy nailed it. It was really special.
Ian, did you see the thing with the glove? How Miggy's like, I don't have a glove. And then Torkelson's like, dude, please use mine. Please take
He
it.
signed it with all of his accolades and shit. He has so many fucking accolades, man.
Not enough room on the glove for them all.
He signs his jersey. He writes that on every single one. So like you give him a jersey, it takes him 3 minutes to sign. It's not just writing Miggy. It's 4-time batting champ, back-to-back MVP, triple crown, however many hits, however many homers, like
however many all-star games.
Yeah, bro. Like
it's crazy.
It's I said it the other day. I was like, I wish obviously I know Miggy as the second best right-hand hitter, first best right-hand hitter ever, but I also look at him as like this big teddy bear, this kind of goofball. Like it's just when Miggy walks in, it's like, hi Miggy, like what do you got for me today? I wish that I played with Miggy as like, holy fuck. Because like this last week he went on a tear again. He was still finished hitting 265 or something like that. Like,
dude, that one homer he hit was ridiculous.
106 backside was just like, what the fuck, man? And everybody, like, the word of the week was like vintage. Like Miggy would hit BP or Miggy would get a base hit down the line, and it's just like, that's vintage Miggy right there. And imagine what he was doing in his prime every fucking day.
How lucky do you feel to have played with him?
I got so many texts like, dude, that was the coolest thing ever. And it's like, you think that was the coolest thing ever? Imagine like, I was just watching it happen, bro. I still can't like get over it. And the way, like I've said it so many times, the way that he treats me, the way that he treats everybody, like as a teammate. And it was funny before the news came out about him being the special assistant to Scott. He was like, "Shorty, call me boss." And I was like, "Yeah, all right, sure, whatever you want." And I was just like, "What the fuck? Like, why does he keep saying that? He keeps telling everybody, I'm your boss. Go get me coffee." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's your last week. I'll get you coffee, of course." And then
even if it wasn't his last week, you would have gone him coffee.
And then later that day, it comes out, and I'm like, "Oh," he goes, "Yeah, I'm your boss, bitch."
That's great. That's great that he's going to be around. And just like the fact that he, was okay with Torkelson taking over, playing first base, like the fact that he DH for the last 2 years, was around. All the stories you've told us about the way that he treated guys. At the All-Star game last year, he sent a jersey for me, same thing, sent one over, and he personalized it with all of his accolades. Like all of the fact that he has been that gracious his entire career. Pretty special. When you look at the final career numbers, like it's ridiculous, dude.
You've got to have some sick jerseys, Happ, by the way, signed by people.
I don't have a ton.
But I mean, you've got like some really cool ones, like all-time players.
I've got some cool ones and some ones that mean a lot. I had Joey sign one this year. Wainwright signed one for me. Full host Miguel Cabrera. Some cool.
Did Wainwright think you were patronizing him when you asked?
I have a ton of respect for him.
I know. I'm just kidding.
That's a really cool one. And I packed those up today. But like, just back to Miggy, the fact that he went out the way that he did, the fact that the fans showed him that much love, like how much he meant to the city, and the fact that he's going to stick around there, be part of the organization, super cool.
Well, that's what we said it last week. I didn't think it was like 15 years he played in Detroit. I feel like it wasn't that long, and that's crazy.
Sneaky.
I don't know if we were recorded last time. That after a rain delay, we were all inside watching. Like Bally Sports did a segment or like a whole thing on like the career of Miggy, and they had interviews from anybody he's played with. So we were sitting, I mean, it was pouring for like 2 hours. We were sitting in the locker room until they finally banged it. And they had that on in the clubhouse with all 4 TVs, like, and it kind of started like, oh, this is funny to watch. Like 10, 15 minutes into it, every single person in the locker room, including Miggy, was just watching the special on Miggy. And it was just like somebody would come on, like Pudge Rodriguez would come on and tell a story. Dontrell Willis would tell a story. And it was just JD Martin, anybody who's playing now. And it's just like, you look back and Miggy's just sitting back there like, yeah, like, but it was so cool because everybody was sitting there watching. Nobody, no music. It was just like everybody was kind of taking a step back and like, holy shit, this is insane.
One of the best to ever do it.
You know what Miggy would have looked really good in his last couple of games?
Bruce Bolt.
Bruce Bolt batting gloves. Let me tell you, Bruce Bolt's best batting gloves in the game, a family-owned business in Austin, Texas. It was actually started by a 16-year-old. They got the best gloves in the game. The gloves that I wear, little baby blue, little white with baby blue, maybe fall balls kicking off. Good time to go get yourself some Bruce Bolt batting gloves. BruceBolt.us. Look for the Happ series under the signature series tab. You know what I saw? A little stat, speaking of great right-handed hitters. A little stat that I saw that I wanted to share with you guys. Ronald Acuna had an all-time year this year, huh?
40 and 70.
337, 416 on base, 596 slug, good for a 1.012 OPS. That's good for a 168 OPS plus. 168 OPS plus. That means he's 68% better than league average. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Can I tell you what Mike Trout's career numbers are? Career. For his career. 13 years. 301, 412, 582. Good for a 994 OPS. That's good for a 173 OPS plus. So for Mike Trout's career, you could argue that he's been better than this offensive year that Ronald put together.
Is this you reaching out to the Cubs and saying, go get Mike Trout?
Nope, it's just me having a little bit of appreciation for how good Mike Trout's been. And
When
we're all forgetting about Mike a little bit, and I just wanted to put it out there that he is unbelievable.
we're having this conversation the other day in the clubhouse. When do we get to the point about talking about Trout where the injuries really are holding back his career numbers?
I feel like they've only been the past couple of years, right? The injuries.
Yeah, I mean, he played every day.
But yeah,
He had a couple years that were so he played every day until he was 24, which he started his career at 19. Let's not forget. He played every day in 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. 17, he played 114. 18, he played 140, and 19, he played 134. Played almost every day in the COVID season, and the last 3 seasons have been 36, 119, and 82. He never had a year with less than 500 at bats until, and you can't count 20, but until 21. So the last 3 been a little plagued by injury. But even in 22, he was still an all-star in 21. He was an all-star in 22, and he was an all-star in 23. And he had in 22 through 119 games and 499 plate appearances, he still had a 6.3 WAR.
I said this a couple weeks ago in the pod. He's starting to remind me of Ken Griffey Jr., where I think the first part of his career will be looked at as this guy was probably one of the greatest baseball players to ever walk the planet. And I'm worried about the next 10 years. Will it end up how Griffey's did, which was probably the worst case scenario? Or does it get better? As Ian's mentioned, the last 3 years have not been, by his standards, good years.
Right.
And
I'm not clarifying. I'm not saying that he's falling off, or I'm not saying he's
no.
I think everyone knows it's not like he's having bad years. He's just been banged up. And I think next year's a really important year in terms of you're talking about legacy, if he can put together 2 or 3 more really full solid seasons, he could cross 100 career WAR. He could cross like a lot of milestones, and I think that would do a lot for his legacy. But I mean, he's already a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's at 80 career WAR. Like he's got a lot of really good stuff already locked up. Now it's how high Pantheon can go.
What was his WAR, or what is his WAR? 80 something.
It's 85.2.
Is that good?
I think Miggy's was 75 or 76.
Since Trout played his first full year, which was 2012, he was 20 years old. Just how many times he's not been an All-Star?
Once.
Just the year they didn't have an All-Star game in 2020.
The 2020.
Perfect.
He's been an All-Star every single season.
He had a 9 dot OPS. He had a 993 that season too. So
Is that good?
Let's bang on really quick back to Miggy. Speaking of accolades, he
Boy.
passed Hank Aaron in doubles the other day. And to see him do that on the board was an absolute joke.
Past Hank Aaron.
What the fuck?
Hank Aaron.
I do agree though, Zach, that with Trout, like Tom said, like the next couple of years are like he's got to stay healthy, like legacy wise. Like if he has a couple more seasons where he plays,
Isn't that crazy?
No, and I'm not even saying it would take away from him being one of the best ever, but it's just
like next level. It's not like, hey man, this year's big for you to give yourself, put yourself on the map. Hey, no, the next 3 years are big for you, so you can be the best player to ever walk the fucking planet.
That's what I'm saying. Like he had the chance.
Yeah.
Still has the chance, but like he had the chance before those last 3 years to be, hey man, you're the best to ever play this game.
Hey man, next year, if you want to break with the team and be an everyday big leaguer.
Yeah.
Who are you comparing yourself to that's playing now? Well, no one. I'm really just comparing myself to Miguel Cabrera, Albert Pujols, Willie Mays, Babe Ruth,
Barry Bonds.
And Barry Bonds and Hank Aaron. Those are the guys that I'm really comparing myself to.
They've played for us, but they were pretty good.
I mean, it would just be incredible for baseball for him to play 150 games next year. Just great for the game.
With the Cubbies?
Whatever jersey he puts on.
Yeah. Go get him.
We got a couple weeks before we can start the crazy rumor mill until things start jumping.
Oh,
things are already
rumor
jumping.
mill's already
Things are already jumping in Cubby land. Okay, we get 2 games after the season, 2 days after the season. We're already trading for people. There's already rumors all over the place. You see all these rumors.
What did they say?
Obviously the Bellinger stuff.
Oh well, yeah. Is Hendricks
And
a
then-
free agent too?
Who?
Hendricks?
He's got a team option.
Oh, okay.
And then the Bellinger stuff, but they were like either yesterday, it might have been yesterday, even like the day after the season, there was something that came out that like it would it's just Chicago media. I don't know, like it can't be anything else. It's like the Cubs are gonna do everything they possibly can to trade for Pete Alonso. It's like
who said this?
You can't even do that yet. It's not even allowed. It's just and I'm sure there's stuff in Yankee land. How many people have the Yankees signed already?
Oh, on Facebook, according to everyone on Facebook, we're going to sign. We're trading for Soto. Here comes Trout. We'll just
get them both.
Yeah, the funniest
Crazy
thing
time of year
with Alonso was the Stearns came out and said Pete Alonso's our opening day first baseman in 2024, and then like 2 hours later, I saw Cubs are going to guarantee that they're going to sign Alonso. I was like, how? What if the Mets say no?
Give up the farm. Give up everybody they got.
You know what could help them out in their efforts? The old Yanks.
ERC.
If they go after the little employee retention credit, ERC. Omega Accounting Solutions, official partner of Chicago Cubs. And they are big on ERC. If you were a business owner with 5 to 500 employees, I think that sounds like maybe the old Yanks. And you continue to pay payroll taxes during the pandemic, you can recover all of your overpaid payroll taxes and get a refund of up to $26,000 per employee. Omega is the #1 best ERC company for getting your ERC funds now. Don't miss out on your small business tax credit, even if you got a PPP loan. Call 800-643-CUBS or visit smallbizcashback.com/Cubs for a free consultation.
Do you think Marlins man is a Marlins fan?
How about him not going to that game?
He's at the Milwaukee game. That's the one I'm watching. The Milwaukee game. He's right there. I go, the Marlins played today, man. Aren't you a Marlins guy? Like, who do you root for? Like, do you think he's a fan of the Marlins, or do you think he just like that jersey sticks out the most?
Hey, I will say, speaking of the playoffs, this pitch clock is looking great in the postseason.
Oh, it looks great everywhere. So much better. I noticed it watching I hadn't watched many big league games this year, like all the way through. And I watched that whole Cubs Brave. I think the first game of Cubs Braves. And I was like, man, this is like flying. It's so much better. And it's just funny looking back at spring training and like the first couple weeks of the season, people were throwing fits, saying how it was ridiculous. This is crazy. It'll never work. And we've heard nothing since but good things. It's like we knew, Zach. It's like
I'm sure this is going to be an off-season topic. Zach, is there anything you would change with the pitch clock?
I don't know. It sucks because guys would abuse it, but I think with nobody on and like, hey, step off, like I didn't get a sign or I didn't get the pitch comm or I didn't get whatever. And it's just like, hey, man, sorry, ball one. And I'm like, I get it, but
guys would definitely abuse it.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't love that.
100% guys they would do it all the time.
Yeah.
And how could you tell, like, oh, I didn't get the sign? Like, how do you know if they're lying or not?
Let me ask some more specific questions. Would you, when guys step out and get their hitting timeout, the one per bat, would you put a clock on the hitting timeout?
No, because everyone, for the most part, is pretty.
I feel like it's, 10, 15 seconds? Like, people are pretty quick.
Don't be a dick. Get back in there.
But, we say that with, like, our common sense, but, like, it would happen. Like, that guys can just be pissed and call their time, and then it's, like, just the ump's discretion.
Their time in general, like, without the pitch clock, the ump would be like, all right, here we go.
Would you add seconds to the 15-second clock?
No, I think it's fine.
Would you take the 20-second clock to 18 if you could take the 15 to 18?
And just make them both 18?
No, I think you need the difference. Just for base running purposes,
yeah,
mixing times, I feel like is still very important as a pitcher. And like, say it takes you, when do you have to be in the box by? Is there someone on?
8.
That's what I'm saying. Like, in what if you're not in the box till 8, so you can't come set till 8, you can't really, I mean, you can still hold like 7 seconds, obviously, but I feel like that gives the runners a pretty good advantage. I think 20 is a good number with guys on because it's pressure pitches.
It is.
Give the guys a little time.
It's going to be interesting what it seems like as the playoffs go on and like the pressure heightens, see what we got.
Yeah, be interesting to see if there's any violations.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, good talk on pitch timer. I guess we'll keep it the same. Good hot takes, everybody. Tom, nice job. All right. Anything else you guys want to touch on before we let the people go? Do you want to talk football and piss Tom off? Bears had a good one.
Bears choked one away. Zach's team looked better. My team won again. We're a powerhouse.
Spotting the Chiefs 17 points.
Hey, man, that was a tough game.
Big one next week. But hey,
you might have your quarterback.
So a topic came up. Would you rather if the Jets won, but you like Zach Wilson played horrifically? And I think I would rather have this, and then you can kind of build off of last week and see what we got.
For sure.
Like a win is great. A win is great, but I mean, the guy was slinging the rock.
He looked fantastic.
Did you guys see the photo of the Madden cover, the 2024 Madden cover with Taylor Swift on it?
No,
Oh,
I didn't.
That was hilarious.
That would be so funny.
I just want to make one comment that Taylor Swift was in the box at that game with
Mhm.
Ryan Reynolds and other
Blake Lively.
and maybe another really famous actor, and she completely and totally dwarfed them in the fame,
It's crazy, bro.
the fame rankings.
Is the definition of international.
But it's
Tom, name
it is-
five. Tom, name 5 people more famous than Taylor Swift. Go.
This is an insane thing to put me on the spot.
Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Cristiano Ronaldo, LeBron, Joe Biden, Donald Trump,
Kim Jong-un's probably in there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know about Kim Jong Un.
100%
The other
those
ones, the other
people.
ones are definitely in the same category.
I'm just saying of fame.
Maybe Drake,
It's
maybe
not, I'm not
Drake,
talking
maybe
about
Madonna.
their character. I'm not talking about their character.
I mean,
Just
yeah,
saying.
You think if you walk down the street in New York and ask people if they know Kim Jong Un or Taylor Swift, it's going to be. I think you're going to get more.
That's
Taylor
an
Swift
indictment of our
people.
education system.
That's a good point.
So
That's a good point. That's topic for our other podcast, which is Educating America 101. That's coming out next week. Let's get to the Sloan Screen Time presented by our friends at Sloan. If you need some commercial plumbing systems, you know who to call. You call Sloan.
Flushometers.
Sloan's the world's leading manufacturer of commercial plumbing systems. Company is at the forefront of the green building movement and provides smart, sustainable, and hygienic restroom solutions by manufacturing water-efficient products, including flushometers, faucets, sink systems, soap dispensers, and fixtures for commercial, industrial, and institutional markets worldwide. To visit, to learn more or visit more, go to sloan.com.
642 for me.
I feel like I'm going to be tough to beat today.
642 though, but I golfed, and when I golf, I got the Grant app open, and that's how I track things. 642.
I haven't played golf yet. I'm mad at myself about it.
Zach, I shot an 85 today. You proud of me?
Good for you. I am proud of you.
Thanks, man.
Zach, you playing any golf yet?
No, I haven't. 515. Jesus, Ian.
535.
Oh, I took last.
250 for me. That's a 250. Can I tell you
Ian-
guys? Can I tell
Ian's
you guys a little
off-season
story
numbers
before
are
we
better
go
than his
about
in-season numbers.
one of the reasons why I was at 250? So I go up to Wrigley today to pack some of my stuff up. Go to Wrigley, I pack. I left a car up there because my street parking expired, and I got a ticket. So I left my car at Wrigley and Ubered back home. I didn't eat much. When you're in the season and all of your meals are kind of chilling at the field,
True.
it's so nice. And then the season ends. This is a baseball player problem.
You got to
thing.
fend for yourself.
Yeah, the season ends and you got to fend for yourself, and you just forget to eat. So I went to the field, had some coffee. I actually had like a bar, and I was like, yeah, I had a bar. I'm good. I get in the Uber on the way home. It's about a little traffic through downtown. Guy took a bad route, about 25 minutes. This guy is driving as fast as he can to each red light and stop sign, and then slamming on the brakes. I'm on my phone. I'm searching, looking around, doing some emails. Start to get a little car sick. Start to have a little, don't feel great. Before you know it, I'm 5 minutes into a 27-minute ride, and I have the cold sweats, and I'm gonna pass the fuck out in the back of this Uber. So I am like eyes closed. I'm like trying to find a position where I'm not gonna either puke in this guy's Uber or pass out. It was the longest 20-minute Uber ride ever. I had to text Julie and say, you got to meet me downstairs because I might throw up and pass out as soon as I get out of this car. I was so uncomfortable, and I was white as a ghost. I had pure, cold. I was dripping sweat when I got out of the Uber, and I had to just lay on the ground for an hour and
The sweats thing in the world.
oh my God, dude.
Oh,
I don't know. That was That was bad. That was my day today. One of the reasons why I wasn't on my phone much was because I was a corpse for a few hours this afternoon.
You're trying to survive.
Good for you.
Didn't puke.
Nope.
That's episode 178 of the Compound Podcast. Look for our educational podcast coming next week, and also maybe more stories about trying not to pass out. We'll see you for 179 next week.
Rum.